This is the Italian Citizenship Podcast, hosted by Marco Permunian and Rafael Di Furia.
Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Italian Citizenship Podcast, presented by Italiancitizenshipassistance.com. Of course, we are back at it again with Italian Attorney Marco Permunian. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I am doing great, thank you. And today is a very special episode. We have been waiting for about a couple years now for the finalization of the Italian Digital Nomad Visa. It's finally here, and in this episode, we are going to be going over some of the details. A few weeks ago, we did release an episode with some information about this visa, but it is now finalized, and we wanted to go over the finalized published info. So Marco, I think a good place to maybe start out with this episode is, what is now the Italian legal definition of a digital nomad?
According to the decree, which was finally published on the official Gazette on April the 4th of this year, the digital nomad is a highly skilled individual who is able to perform work activities remotely through the technological means that they have at their disposal. It needs to be a foreign citizen, a non-EU citizen who works remotely for an Italian or non-Italian based company. The decree also gave a very precise indication of the income that the digital nomad needs to have in order to receive the visa, and the income needs to be at least 24,789 euros, which is 3 times the minimum required in Italy for a person to be able to obtain free healthcare in Italy. So again, the minimum required for a digital nomad is 24,789 euros, and that income can be from the work activities that qualify the applicant for the digital nomad visa, or it looks like it can also be from other sources of income. So it can be a combination of work income and, for example, passive income. The decree also indicates that the applicant needs to have a lodging at the time in which the application is submitted. So a lodging in Italy already secured, as it happens for other types of visas. For example, for the elective residency visa, the applicant needs to have a lodging, so a rental agreement or a property that they purchased at the time of the submission of the application. And that will now apply also to people who are looking to get the digital nomad visa. And of course, to apply for the visa, you also need to present documentation related to your work activities that you're carrying out for your employer or your clients, and that qualify you for the digital nomad visa. We said it the other time in the other video, but you need to have at least 6 months of experience as remote worker in this precise field. So you cannot start your activity now and expect to be able to apply for the visa tomorrow. You need to have a 6 months documented experience at the time in which the application is submitted. The visa application needs to be submitted through the Italian consulate in the country where you reside. And once you obtain the visa, you can relocate to Italy, so you can legally enter the country as a visa holder, but you need to apply for a residency permit within 8 days from your arrival. The residency permit is the document that allows you to legally reside in the country, and it's valid for 1 year, and it's renewable at the end of the year, of the first year, if you continue to meet the conditions that were required for the obtainment of the visa.
So Marco, just a quick question for you here that I'm sure some people will be wondering about. Why do you need the visa and then the permit? Why isn't the visa alone good enough for this ability to reside in Italy?
That's how the system works in Italy. We have the visa application that needs to be done through the consulate, which legally speaking allows you to enter the country legally as a visa holder. But the actual document that allows you to reside in the country and establish residency from a formal standpoint and continue to live in Italy is the residency permit, which you have to apply for through the local questura once you are in Italy. Now, what you renew, as I just mentioned, is the residency permit and not the visa.
Well, very interesting, Marco. And so this residency permit that you can have for 1 year, is there a maximum amount of times that you're able to renew this?
You can renew it as long as you continue to meet the requirements. Now, after 5 years, you also qualify for permanent residency, so you can apply for a different type of residency permit, which is basically the residency permit for long-time residents, and that is no longer connected to you being a digital nomad. And of course, after 10 years, you can apply for citizenship through residency.
Well, that's very interesting that this is theoretically a path to Italian citizenship by residency. I could imagine that in other places that it might be possible that a digital nomad visa would be limited only to the possibility of being able to remain in Italy temporarily. But another thing that I'm curious about, especially if we are talking about things on a little bit of a longer term basis, what if you have family that you need to come to Italy with? Does this extend to them, or do you have to apply for separate visas for them, or some sort of family reunification visa? How would that all work?
The decree indicated that information as well, and the digital nomad visa allows immediate family members, so adult children and spouses, to be able to qualify for a family reunification visa. So the answer is yes.
Interesting. And so also, when we're talking about having to be in Italy and work in Italy, I can imagine that the individual might need to be registered with the tax system. To what extent do they need to be involved with the Italian tax system?
The digital nomad will have to have a tax code and also a VAT number if they are not employee of a company. So if you're an employee of a company and you're working remotely as a digital nomad, you only need a tax code. And of course, the employer will have to worry about paying taxes for you regarding your employment. But if you are a freelancer or a collaborator of a company, and you do need a VAT number, which you need to apply for once you relocate to Italy. And of course, you will have to pay your taxes in Italy, and you can of course use the special tax regimes that are available in Italy, but you most likely will have to get an accountant and worry about Italian taxation.
Very interesting. So we are talking about individuals who are more than likely going to be making Italy their tax domicile. And so also another thing, though, going in a completely different direction here. When it comes to the guarantees in place for this person to be able to get the visa or to be able to stay in Italy, are they guaranteed that they will be able to remain throughout the time in Italy, or that they will even be getting the visa? How do these things work?
The visa application can be denied, or the residency permit can be revoked if there is evidence that the employer has criminal history, which is why it is necessary at the time in which the application is submitted to provide a self-declaration from the employer where they self-declare that they have no criminal convictions. There is also another situation where the residency permit can be revoked, which is if the residency permit holder fails to comply with the Italian tax laws. So if they fail to pay taxes once they obtain the Italian visa.
Very interesting, Marco. And so I know we've covered a lot of information in this episode, and I'm sure there will be plenty of questions about what we've gone over. So if there are any questions, of course, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this as an audio-only podcast, be sure to come over to YouTube and leave any questions that you have here under the video. And Marco, if anybody is interested in moving forward with getting the Italian Digital Nomad Visa, how can they get in contact with you and your team to work with you?
People can contact us through our website, ItalianCitizenshipassistance.com, or give us a call. Our number is on the website.
Absolutely fantastic. And of course, if you're needing any more information about life in Italy, living in Italy, and making Italy your home from a legal standpoint, or even finding a place to live in Italy, be sure that you are subscribed to this YouTube channel, where you'll not only be subscribed to the Italian Citizenship Podcast, but also the Italian Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about some of the other practical aspects of making Italy your home. And also, if you're interested in more conversations about life abroad and living abroad, be sure to come over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rafael Di Furia, or you can search for Not Your Average Globetrotter on YouTube or your favorite podcasting player of choice. But of course, we have been here again with Italian attorney Marco Permunian from ItalianCitizenshipassistance.com. I'm Rafael Di Furia. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we'll see you all next time. Ciao.
Thank you.